We're here, darling. We made it.
I know. It's like, really? Oh, wow. Oh, I feel like I time traveled and just got dropped down into it. Just like how, woo! It just all worked out. I can't even begin to tell you guys. I don't know. I didn't even know where to begin.
I know. Don't worry. We both sounds like we've had a similar day. So first of all, we just want to apologise for everyone watching for us being 15 minutes late. We needed it. We needed it for various reasons. Dog needed to be walked and fed and settled, and Laura needed to do what she needed to do. And we try not to be late, but when we are, it's because we genuinely need it, because we want to be able to give you guys the best possible show. And so to do that, we have to make sure we've taken the time to breathe, which we just did together. So I see, yes, Sharian Rivers says, deep cleansing breath, friends. Yes. Let's all do one together. I think a few more. We did do some before we came on, but let's do a little bit more. Laura, should we just do a few more breaths? So the show today, Laura got some very good insight as to what we should cover. And it really was like how to spin multiple plates without breaking a sweat, how to accomplish multi-tasks while staying grounded. And then the latter part of the show, we're going to talk about some of the inversions here on the planet, some of the things that have been inverted, because there's a lot more than people realize. So, to say the least. So, Laura, should we start with the multitasking? And we talk about, what skills you use, what techniques you use. I can say mine, and we can just kind of flow from there. And just hello to everybody. We love you. We're so glad to be here with you. And over to you, Laura. What are your thoughts on multitasking?
I wouldn't say that I'm the expert and I have some sort of like, this is how you can be a great multitasker. It's just the enormity of the multitasking that I'm doing, though. I am learning as I go as far as how to be more efficient, right? So I just flew in after a week-long trip to Bryce Canyon and Zion National Park and all the areas around, the forests and the deserts in Utah. And if I sound a little bit off, it's because just catching up on sleep and all of that. It was an epic family journey for this last week in the beautiful canyons. And then now I'm on to the next adventure, going to Florida to do an event. And the amount of things in the in-between, as far as booking flight or like just the details, the logistics, the trying to help friends get tickets, the working with clients, trying to help them to, do certain things, just the phone being the office and like constantly like micromanaging, like almost like a zillion things while also managing children and animals and things on a galactic level too. It's like the multi-dimensional tasking is like so freaking intense that I'm like, I say to my husband, you might see smoke start to come out of my ears, because it's like, I don't have like somebody that I can just throw it over to, like, hey, can you like handle this? It's like not so easy. It's a lot sometimes when we have so much on our plate, right? And so what can we do to like mitigate or temper the just craziness of it all? And with me, I just make sure I set myself constant reminders, and I get rid of as much of the junk and the spam and the notifications that I don't need on my phone, because my phone's like my office. And, it's great, for whatever, taking pictures and social media stuff, but it is my office, reaching out to community and clients and stuff like that. I can't manage hundreds of notifications coming in from Telegram based in what people are chatting about. So that's, it's like delete, block, like over here. And then I'm like, whoa, no wonder like goddess energy pictures have them with 1,000 arms. Cause sometimes I'm like, holy crap, we do need 1,000 arms to just manage our everyday existence. It takes so much to be on top of every freaking detail of this reality and what is thrown at us.
Mm-hmm. What I was told just as we were getting on and we discussed what we would talk about today, God just said to me, we are climbing a mountain. You know, we're not walking on level ground. We're climbing a mountain. And so again, so if people can understand that, how that looks, it's like we are going upwards. We are climbing. And as we climb, the air gets thinner. As we climb, the view gets better. As we climb, there are increased dangers and things like that. And at the same time, we are climbing, and so we need to move steadfast, and sometimes we actually have to move slower. You see, most mistakes, when people drop something, hurt themselves, you know, that kind of thing, comes from moving too fast. I had a friend who was a Rastafarian. He had dreadlocks to the floor. His locks literally would drag along the floor behind him. He looked like Bob Marley. And one lesson he imparted on me before his passing, he passed 3 years ago. The one lesson he really just ingrained into my head was too fast, Amelia, too fast. Because whenever I would move, you know, and so that is important too, because sometimes people think when you are in a rush, you need to use speed. Whereas in fact, when you're in a rush, you need to use efficiency. And efficiency is the ability to still the mind in the middle of the chaos and be able to prioritize correctly, rather than getting in a kerfuffle. And that's what we have to do. And me and Laura literally can handle a lot, but she saw me in a kerfuffle the other day when my dog peed on the rug and I had family visiting and it was just all happening. I was like, ah! But, you know, understanding that we're climbing a mountain makes it a little bit easier for people to understand. We're all climbing a mountain in our lives, and we're not at the top yet. And it's not supposed to be smooth sailing right now, but we can cope and even enjoy this moment, because again, the view gets better the higher up we climb. What do you think, Laura?
Yeah, the view. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just a lot, but it's unbelievable to me. It reminds me of just being at that like last level of like Tetris, you know, when you're at the like the final, like, because I beat Tetris and people, somebody said nobody's ever been able to master Tetris or beat the game because there's 9 levels and then the things start falling really fast, and it's like almost like the precision and the like getting everything where it needs to be. Like I feel like when I was playing like Tetris or some of these video games, and when I was a kid, almost helped train my brain to handle the times that we're in right now, where I have to be like, okay, over here and over there and over here. Like, it's just unbelievable. I probably like lost the track that you're on. I was looking at.
I just couldn't agree more, darling. I just couldn't agree more. It literally does feel like when you have like literally 4 cubes left of the Tetris thing, when you're there, and that's the energy. That is this, and it's this go energy, but the precision has to be sharper. And I think what's interesting is me and Laura are going through similar things as normal. We normally are, but we're going through similar things at the moment. I'm traveling next week. I'm trying to prep a load of stuff right now. And I look at this and I'm like, yes, we have clients that we're juggling. We're organizing travel, but also you see, we have the extra added level of warfare on the things that we're doing. So we have to do things even more precisely and even more carefully and with even more precision. It really is important. And again, our phones are off it. So it's like we have to make sure we have self-love time, that we have time for us to sit still, that we have time to breathe, that we set aside time for us, so that we can deliver in these moments when people want to hear what we have to say. We have to ensure that we balance all of this out. And I'm sure a lot of the people watching have a lot going on too. And that's why we're just being honest about what we're doing and how we cope with it. For me, I actually say that I have to be bossy. That's one of the ways that I get so much done. But the difference is that with bossiness, I have preempted it by making sure those around me know I love them, know that I care, that they know that This is a micro moment, not a macro. We're not doing a long talk right now. This is a speak like two alpha men. Let's get things done quick because we haven't got the time. That kind of energy. And then so that we can get to those moments where we can have a macro conversation and sit and relax and look at the clouds and chat. But not all the time can be that right now. Sometimes right now I'm having to be very masculine in my wording.
Oh, yeah. That's so intense. I have to as well. And I, sort of like when we put emojis like on messages and and it's so important, communication throughout the whole thing. When you have to be firm, when you have to be just in that really, really, really strong, like leadership, authoritarian, even just position, it has to be very benevolent and gentle and has to consider those that you are trying to encourage or and then it's vice versa, sort of like student teacher, it's like, then there's times to, and I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's just
no, as usual, Laura, you're doing perfectly. You're picking up on everything. Like even with Warren, who paid for talk time. I was in talk time with him yesterday. He's like the king of talk time. He put that together. And Chaz Carter is the owner of PPN, and we did a prayer for him. But like the fact that when me and Warren were in Nashville, and we were in the presence of, say, Juan O'Sarvin, we knew it was time for us to maybe be a bit more quiet and do a bit more listening. When Charlie's talking, we listen, things like that. So it's knowing when to flow into being full leadership, like I'm in charge here and this is what's happening. And then at the same time, knowing when to back off and just be in your gentle, feminine and receptive mode.
I know. And that's wild. And this is what's so wonderful about us as multidimensional beings with so many archetypal energies within us and the divine masculine and feminine that exists within us. We pull out what we need to pull out to face the challenges of what's confronting us. And if we can shift gears and just be very flexible to the changing frequencies and energies, we can know how to, like earlier this morning, I had to wake up like super early. I had to talk to a lawyer, to wrap up something connected to land and some of the visions that I have for the future. Then boom, now over here, like, got to take care of the animals, got to go into nurturing zone. Boom, over there, I got to like unpack, but repack so that I can go on my next trip. Boom, over there. Oh, come into an interview, and then it's just like managing the children and husband. It's just like, sometimes I'm like, this is what you guys need to do. Sometimes I have to be the one that's listening and being like, because of their schedules and what their timing is, like, okay, well, what do I need to know from you so that I know how to walk around you? So we all have to kind of take turns to have the symbiotic sort of synergistic sort of thing going on where nobody is the ultimate controller or authority, but everybody knows when they need to take a stand and to like say, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I'm dealing with, and okay, when do we have silence? When do we exert ourselves? And when can we hold space? And when do we need to take action? And it's just a balancing act and a dance that is so beautiful that we can like really enjoy to, refine. And I think it's like sharpening us when we get out of like the mind control and all the distortions and frequencies that are trying to pit us against each other or create drama and conflict. And we can remove ourselves from it. And we like find healthier ways to communicate in these times of chaoticness, when we can like function with greater wisdom behind our words and like a lot of love and just, joy and humor and just like appreciating the challenge for the strength that it's going to provide us or like give us as a result. It's like such an amazing thing. And it's like so epic. It's like, oh my God, I just got to the top of Everest. Look at it, like you said, look at the view. Like I got it. Like I made it to the top. You might have gotten dehydrated. Your foot might have almost fallen off because of frostbite. You might have, but you made it and you did it, and you can all hug each other. So, oh my God, I feel kind of insane because of the enormity of the multitasking sometimes. But I don't even know if anything I'm saying is coming out okay.
No, it is. Like I said, the thing is it relates. And the thing is, this is one of those sessions where sometimes we're in different places. Sometimes some of the shows I haven't been feeling so well, and Laura's just taken the mic and she has just done what needs to be done. And then there's been other times when Laura's been feeling a little bit tired and things. And this is what I'm saying, like, this natural, this is real. We're showing up for you guys every Wednesday, rain or shine.
I know, right?
This is the difference. You see, we're not doing this because we're like, oh, wouldn't it be nice to do that hour this Wednesday? Wouldn't that be a convenient time of the week? No. What's happened is this is on our calendar every week and our lives fit around it. So the thing is that it does mean you get the real us, because it's, this is what we've committed to. But the great thing is that you guys can rely on it. You can set it on your calendar. You can show up every week and it's going to happen. I agree with you what you're saying about the challenge and the strength, because for me, I have just overcome another health bump. I had like 3 major things, or it's hard to tell really, sort of there's a gray area in the middle, but I've been like fighting my way out of health things. And I'm now up to being able to swim for 30 minutes, which is huge, because it means I'm nearly close to being able to go back in the gym. So it's like this is where I have to make sure I schedule the time in, which may look like relaxed time, like, hey, I'm just going to go steam and sauna and go to the gym. But guess what? If I'm going to speak on stage next week, I need to feel strong. And so I have to prioritize building up my strength. So I think that a lot of people watching, it's a really good idea just to draw a circle and divide it into sections and just write down all the aspects of your life, whether, family, career, self-care, what you do for charity, or, serving others that you don't know, things like that. Write all the aspects of your life down just to see if there's any aspect that you're really neglecting, because the key to everything that me and Laura are doing is balance. We are moving forward in our mission, while at the same time keeping ourselves sane and healthy. And I have to say, Laura, you look gorgeous, like you're glowing. So whatever you did, your time in nature really did what it was meant to do.
Oh, good. I'm not seeing that what you're seeing then, because I'm like, whoa, I kind of exhausted and not really articulating the way I want to, and I can't quite find the words. And but yeah, I will always be here and I'll always show up. I mean, last week was amazing with Mark trying to get a signal in Bryce Canyon, just like wandering around with my phone and computer, just like trying to get the right signal. But yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like, I love just what this represents, because instead of being like, Amelia, I just can't show up today, I don't want to be on camera, or Amelia saying that to me, I don't feel well, I'm having a health bump, I don't think I want to be on camera, I don't want to be seen. We're going to be seen, because this is authenticity. This is what like being like the real deal is all about. And that's what I really love about what you and I do, because we need raw and real in this world, because that's a truth frequency. And in a truth frequency, we can see through the lies and the distortions and deceptions, and we can get to the bottom of all of everything. And that's really what it's all about. And we have to embody it. We have to live it on all levels in order to be able to, on a larger picture level, have true disclosure and organic ascension. If we can't do it in our own space, in our own bodies, in our own temple of home and family, whatever family is, whether that's animals or just the spaces around you in nature and just your own dwelling and home base cave, the micro has to be solid and divine and what you would want it to be, so that it can generate itself and share that to the macro. That is where I feel like we win the war on consciousness, and we become the override frequency, is that we take care of it here. If you're over giving, if you're doing too much, have the ability to say no and set those boundaries and take a bath. If you piss somebody off, don't get all guilt stricken that you let somebody down. Sometimes self-preservation has to come first. I mean, I feel terrible when I have to reschedule with clients. If I'm like, literally like, you're not going to get a good reading from me if I do this right now, because all these unexpected things like have taken place. It'd be different if I was just like doing retail, or like I used to work plant nurseries. Like I could just, here's a plant. But when you're working energy with people, it's like, if I'm not totally okay, then it's not going to be a good exchange for you. So we got to find a time that's going to be right.
Yes.
And so many people are so accommodated and understanding, because there's a greater timing to it all, that we can do our best with our calendars and schedules, but we can also be flexible enough to work around it. But something like this, me and Amelia, you know, no matter what, we're going to show up, which is different than the work that we do outside of it when we might need a little bit of flexibility. At least I do when it comes to doing like readings and entering the sacred space of working with somebody's astrology. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, because I have a particular client. She's the highest level of the programs I have. And I literally we kept putting it off until eventually now we're just starting. And it's because it needed to be the right timing. But then and now it makes sense why it's the right timing now, though. So yes, client, the fact that we're very blessed, we work with a very high frequency client, that our clients themselves are patient and kind and understanding. And we very much, you know, the reason this show is so important, that it you know, the show must go on, is because we want to create that regularity. We want there to be that. This isn't something that just pops up. We want you to be able to set your clock by it, even though we were a little late today. The thing is what I was thinking. I'm just trying to think. Oh, so what my angels were saying, the reason I was almost interrupting a moment ago, was my angels were saying, don't worry, Laura, you get kerfuffled on your words when you're talking about something simple. Let's give you something like a big bone to chew on, and suddenly it will all just come out like nothing anyone's ever heard before, and will be incredible and amazing. That's all it is. It's just that literally, like, as soon as you get onto the complex subjects, it's like literally source takes over and Laura is just going. So don't worry if you're I think it relates to something like, for me, I work with such a high level of client, and I have such high level staff and volunteers, that when I actually work with somebody outside of that arena, you know, a regular, nice, kind person, it can be interesting to see their ability to listen, because they haven't done all the work. They can't hear everything you tell them. But really what they're hearing is the voice in their head. They're not hearing you, because the voice in their head is still loud, even if they're good and kind. And that can be an interesting thing. That's something that, you know, that I've been experiencing when I'm working with people that are outside of my normal globe, is I say something and then the next minute they're like, where do I? I'm like, this to this to this. It's like I'm used to being surrounded by such sharp knives that are so well tuned, that if I have to deal with someone who is just kind and good, but hasn't acquired those skills yet and done that work, it's kind of a little bit shocking. You know what I'm saying?
Totally. I'm going to be a little distracting. I have to get my computer charger. Or
no, that's fine.
Okay, so yeah, keep going with that, and I'll share my feedback, but keep going on that.
No problem, darling. So, guys, we are here. We are here, and the thing is, what's great about this show is me and Laura really do just feed off of each other. Like, as we talk, we hear things come in, and everything just lines up. And so I couldn't do the same show just sat here on my own talking to the screen. It really is us bouncing off of each other that makes all the difference. And even if one of us is feeling weak, even if one of us has had crazy things happening, and both of us had a lot happening today, but being gentle on others, being gentle on yourself, while at the same time not limiting what you think you can achieve. Because I think that's something, like, there's a lot of people that are in a limited mindset. They don't realize it's their ego, their shadow, that's, you know, being fed from childhood wounds and maybe even some generational stuff that's telling them that they can't break out of the box they're in. But that's the difference, is me and Laura do know we can do anything. Like, literally, we can do anything. And so, you know, and knowing that we can do anything means that we set ourselves a lot of tasks to accomplish. And my rule that I say, which may help some people, is as long as things are moving, it doesn't matter what speed they're moving at, as long as they're moving. So like my How to Be Happy book, as long as I'm chipping away and I'm moving, I haven't stopped, I'm moving. I see progress. That is the key, because that is what we're doing in life, really, is waking up in the morning and pushing things forward in a few different directions, and eventually things reach their destination, and then we start new tasks. And that's what we're doing. But we have to know how much to push in a day, and we have to listen to what we really need. Like, my body likes me to go to bed at 10 o'clock. I've more been a night owl my whole life, but I'm trying this, and it's good. So it's like starting to like take that time back in that run up between 7 and 10, and taking that time back for me, giving as hard as I can in the day, but then taking that time back. That's something that's been helping me.
Yeah. I've been waking up so early. I mean, it was incredible just the week that I had with my 2 boys and my father. I was waking up at, and I have been before, I actually went on the trip, like it's 6:30 every morning, taking my backpack, going to the store, making sure to cook up breakfast for everybody. Then I make picnic lunches, and then I made, dinners, and then I washed all the dishes, and I just like, oh, no, I got it handled. For like 8 straight days of just like, 4 grown individuals, including myself, just like doing all this stuff and like really getting into the zone of going to sleep at a normal hour and waking up, in the morning when the sun comes up. Because I used to totally be a night owl. I mean, the last night at the hotel, I couldn't get sleep. There was like just some weird stuff with, I won't name names. Okay, well, just I don't know what to say. But, there are a lot of times where something will kind of get me, and my adrenaline kind of gets triggered, and I'll find myself a little bit restless. And even my sleep aid, or it's CBD, like every sleep dream elixir that I can take at night doesn't even work, and I'm still just kind of up. Then I'm like, okay, I guess it's not a good time to be on the astral tonight. So I'm going to embrace being awake instead of battling my body. I'm going to trust when it wants to sleep, when it wants to be awake, when it's hungry, when it's not hungry. And like, really just, to me, that's like almost like the ultimate, like sort of self-love. As much as I can get on a regulatory, I wouldn't say schedule, but sort of routine that is connected with my own, personal cycle of what works for me. And that when it's a little bit off, that I embrace it. It's sort of like, we can't be such perfectionists to the point of stress. We have to let a little bit of messy be okay.
Yes.
I used to be a very chaotic person with a messy room. Now, I go through phases where it's just like, if anything's out of order, I'm like, no, we got to fix it and got to clean it and got to, but I do have a comfort zone with messiness. So as a Libra, it's like, it doesn't even matter about astro signs, but it's sort of like, when you find comfort in everything, then nothing that you face is something that you can't handle, because you acclimate. Sort of like a chameleon. It's like, and just like we're talking about, whatever we get thrown, we know how to adjust ourselves accordingly to handle the task at hand. And that to me is the training ground to reclaiming our self-mastery, because we're here to become masters again. And every challenge that we're thrown, every adversity that we're thrown, whether it's an illness, an injury, or just the chaoticness of all that we've taken on with this mission, it is just like absolutely refining us to the point of reclaiming, self-mastery, sovereignty, and just embodying the divine blueprint that we are born with, that we are here to illuminate and activate in others, and remind people, that, we all have to help each other. And because, sort of like when a person's like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, or I'm going to change my diet. Sometimes it's fun to do it with a friend or do it with somebody to kind of keep each other in check. And sometimes it's fun to just do it alone and just make it a personal thing. But, we all need to encourage each other, and, and also allow, like, when it's been going really well, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, you have that one like off day. Well, good, because that little like imperfection is beautiful and perfect. It's sort of like there's no right or wrong choice, because we're creative beings. I get a lot of clients who are like, should I do this or should I do that? And a lot of times I'm like, either choice is going to work out, because whatever you're confronted with, you can be a co-creator of what's confronting you. You can make it beautiful no matter what it is. There's no really right or wrong move you can make. The only right or wrong is like within yourself. Are you in integrity? Are you in a low vibration of like negative ego? Okay, that would be like probably not to your benefit or anybody else's. But when it comes to like choices in life, as long as you're like in your divine center, as long as you are in integrity and you're connected to your sovereign, free thinking mind and intuition, you can't make a wrong choice. But if you're in the low vibration of negative ego, yeah, whatever choices you're going to make, probably you're going to like have to deal with some kind of backlash if you're not working on the foundation. It's sort of like a vehicle, it's like if all the fluids and the tires aren't, and you don't have the GPS set to the right destination, it's going to be, good luck with that.
Yeah, exactly. What I'm hearing is we're all, every single one of us, on a path to get higher. So that is why the mountain thing came in, because the thing is a lot of people might say, oh, well, Amelia, you've got things a lot together there. Well, what I feel like I do every day is see how I can get higher, how I can get closer to God, how I can make my space cleaner, more organized, how I can continue to rise in frequency. And so I feel like that is important. Anyone who feels like they've already got everything where it should be, that means it's a sign to maybe revisit and look again. Because, for example, I know everything's pretty organized in the background of my video, but if you were to look to the left, I have a bunch of cardboard boxes because I had someone here and we were going through and clearing things out and packing things away and doing things like that today. But having that order, God is structure and order. The devil loves chaos. And so the thing is that what we want to do, though, is make sure that we have some structure and order. But then what that does is it allows us space to dance. And in that dancing, we can then have that freedom to move things around and have things as we want. And so I think it's important. The reason I'm talking about this is that in talk time, I was talking about this as well. Like, the Illuminati, when they talk about the order from chaos, they have to create chaos to get us under order. So we have to understand that, if there's any areas of our life that we can order more, put things in more order, then that's going to help. If there's somewhere that can be cleaner. Now, again, I'm not talking about people going too far where they start scrubbing their hands 30 times a day and getting red sauce on their hands. But what I'm talking about, again, is cleanliness is close to godliness, but having that organization. I do feel that one of the reasons I'm able to complete so many tasks, other than the fact that I have the most incredible angels and volunteers in my life, especially like Cara, who Laura knows, but also because I keep things in order. I know where everything is and how it's meant. Everything is in order, and it helps me to move fast. Yes. That's something, but I haven't finished the task yet because I've been isolating areas where where it's not pristine, and so I'm working on those now.
Right. Well, the integration of polarity is also to embrace both poles, right? Because we can't just have it be one without facing the other, because creation and destruction are just a part of the way things are. When destruction happens, it means it's time to rebuild. Like the Tower card, it just knocks down everything to rebuild something better, a better structure than the one before. When death comes along, it's death, rebirth, alchemy, transformation. So whatever dies is composting for a new growth to happen that is stronger than the previous growth. So when we feel the chaoticness, like the primordial sea of chaos, something's emerging from it that will have order. And when it falls back into chaos, we can't stay in that chaos and let something enslave us or control us, because that's where the devil comes in. If we lose ourselves in the chaos and we think somebody else outside of us can fix it for us or save us, no, we have to resurrect out of the chaos and out of the death and kind of rise like the phoenix in balance and order again. And I just want to share this quote. It's about the goddess Sophia, who is the Sophionic energy in connection with the Father. And anyway, it says, the metaphorical shape of future beliefs will be determined by the needs of the people who live in that future. We are working towards better integration of the sexes that cannot come about until the spiritual values are given justice. So the intensive repertoire of metaphors exemplifies her availability to both men and women, for she symbolically reconciles the left and right halves of the brain, the intellectual and the intuitive sides, which have been seen as masculine and feminine. She is both ordered and chaotic, active and receptive, sequential and simultaneous, defined and diffused, endlessly reconciling the dualistic factors which polarize our human existence in her own person. So those animated by the goddess in her many forms are concerned with all world problems. We cannot deny our common heritage of life, which the goddess safeguards. And Sophia supports the cyclic rhythms of the female spiritual experience. Women, just like just all the aspects. And I'll just stop there. But the whole point is the 7 pillars of virtues, of the higher principles of things like integrity and all the things that make us spiritual beings. That is what cleanses the inversions. We're going to talk about inversions, right? Like the 7 gates of hell or the hell realms. When we go into that shadow work, we turn these kind of 7 deadly sins of greed, wrath, whatever, all those 7 deadly sins. And when we face that shadow stuff within ourselves to cleanse our negative ego, we turn them into the 7 virtues, and we reclaim the temple and we resurrect. So that's how we can bring order to the chaos of what the social engineering agendas and the mind control and all the stuff the satanic networks are wanting to do to us and our children. This is how we turn it around, is we look at those inversions within our own being and we purify it and we resurrect it so that we can have order and purity and embody just a beautiful disposition. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I think that's the thing. It's the constant moving forward, constant climbing up. As long as you're moving up the mountain, that's all that matters. It's not the speed. It's the moving up and being able to do the uncomfortable. And like I said, this actual space that I'm sitting in now was chaotic today. Chaotic. There was cardboard boxes. There were wagons with bins filled with old clothes, new clothes, winter clothes, summer clothes. It was all just chaos. It was chaos, but it was the process of knowing that it all needed to come out so that I can then at the other end of this be in this new state of even higher level of organization.
And that's creation. That's creativity. We make a meal, a gorgeous meal, right? Then you got dishes, you got scraps of food, you've got a counter to clean. And this is what we have to do. It's like what we see in the physical world is no different than what we need to do in our emotional body, our mental body, our spiritual bodies, is hygiene, like knowing that things are going to fall into disorder. And our job as creative beings is to bring it back into purity, cleansing, and order. And then it's going to fall in disarray again. And let's not judge it, because that's part of the cycles of life. Compost, and that neutralifies the soil for new growth to happen. And it's just the cycles of nature. But if we remain in one or the other, then we're out of balance. And that's when we start to get maybe depressed or angry, or we start to develop personality traits that might not be so pleasant,
Absolutely. Because the thing is that if you don't want to experience the chaos of pulling everything out, it's like moving house. If you move to a better house, the packing up part is chaotic. The physical moving is chaotic. The bringing the stuff into the space is chaotic. But then when you unpack everything, especially if it's an upgrade and you're moving somewhere bigger or better or whatever, and you've cleared out some of the things you didn't need to keep anymore, it can be an absolute delight. And now you're embodying an environment that allows your frequency to be even higher. And this is the thing, we're all just climbing in frequency, everybody. And some people have reached a higher point than others. Some are climbing faster than others, but we're all going up. The elevator is going up. Now, people can choose to go down in the elevator. And they can choose to, and they're allowed to, because free will exists down here. So you can go down. And even if you do go down, guess what? It's okay, because you can carry on going back up again. So it's okay. But just remember that that is what we're all trying to do collectively and individually, is just to keep moving up, moving closer to God, moving closer to our mission, closer to improving more people's lives, how we can help more people, what projects, all the projects me and Laura are working on are all to do with helping people. So it's how we can help more, how we can help more, how we can help more, but also how we can be more. How can we be more in ourselves so that we can then give more? And so what do we need to maybe be studying? And again, I didn't study for a long time because I studied so much in the early days, and then another stint in 2009 to 2011. And then it's been quite interesting going back into a study period now in 2021, 2022, learning about the spiritual warfare aspects of things. So being able to go in and out of the cycles, it's study time. Interesting. Oh, okay, now it's not study time, it's speaking time, it's sharing, it's teaching time. Oh, what is it now? And just staying fluid with it. Because the reality is when people say, I don't know, it's like, it's okay, but God knows. So let's just be in that stillness, because I think that sometimes is what enables me and Laura to still deliver the show, is that regardless of what's going on, we're able to come back and come into that stillness.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And that stillness, you know, that breath, you know, the moments, you know, that we can just ground and capture that, you know, breath, you know, breathing in the breath of life, you know, gives us an opportunity to be more conscious of our words. Because if we're just like, you know, in this constant, just having to manage everything and everything has to be this and everything has to be perfect, you know, we might be so stressed out that our words to others might be very sharp or harsh or not very kind or very loving. You know, love is the priority, and staying in a vibration of cooperation and love and respect. But everybody has to step up to the plate, because I think we all know what it's like to be with a slacker or somebody who expects you to do it for them, or they can't do it for themselves. You know, the whole, you know, if I give too much, they'll get used to it and then they won't, you know, it's like, it's such always a balancing act, and you never know what you're up against as far as the nature of somebody else. So you can hopefully in your life find people that are on the same frequency level, hold the same sort of values and integrity, to make it like workable. I don't know. So I just know that if I don't take a breath, if I don't step back, if I don't say like, everybody leave me alone for a little bit, I need to take a bath, I need to just like relax, I might come off like in a way that makes people feel like, you know, are you mad at me or this? And I might feel that from them. So it's like realizing, you know, that when we notice one another or ourselves getting all amped, or our tone is off, or we're raising our voice, like, oh my gosh, you know, we can drop everything and take a moment. Because I always say, like, you know, the dishes don't have a voice. They're not screaming at me. They can wait, you know, but like the animals making noise, and like a baby screaming or crying, or like somebody in pain, you know, I have to answer to that. That's number one. And as long as those things don't make a noise, I can just put a bunch of soap on it and they can sit for the night, and I'll do it in the morning. You know, the blankets and towels and all that stuff, they're not screaming, they're not making noise, they're just sitting there. Like, that's not the priority, but I definitely need to tend to it. But let's make sure we tend to ourselves first, one another, and then navigate the spaces around us so that we are occupying, you know, a space that makes us feel that our outer reflection is the inner. You know, if we're just surrounded by chaos, we're probably like feeling very chaotic within. We haven't taken that moment to give to ourselves, and our outer environment kind of reflects that. I remember living in total chaos. It was because, you know, I was dealing with heartbreak, or I couldn't ground myself, or I didn't want to get out of bed. I was so depressed. I was just like heartbroken. And the dishes piled up so much that instead of washing them, I'm like, I'm just going to throw them away and go to the thrift store and get new dishes, because this is too much. I'm just going to like take a huge bag, dump all these freaking dishes, get new dishes, because, you know, I don't metaphorically have to clean all this up. I'm literally just going to start fresh because I can. Why not?
I love it. I mean, sometimes it could make sense, you know? I mean, I had an oven tray, a baking tray, and I looked at it, I was like, this is so dirty. I was like, I'm just going to buy new ones. So I did do that, because it was just like, I just was like,
it's like, what are you going to do? Like all night? Like, like good muscle, but it's like, you know, it's like a couple dollars. Like, cause I'm very thrifty and I want to save, like, you know, but at the same time, I'm like, man, sorry, I should keep going.
The message I'm getting is never give up, but also know when to give up. Difference. See,
I love it.
We never give up. We never give up. But then there's sometimes when it's like, yeah, but like, are we fighting for something we don't need to fight for? You know? And I think talking about others, like the others around us in our lives, I think the word I'm hearing is seen. It's really important to ensure that everyone around you feels seen, that everybody feels recognized, and that you do take that time to communicate with those around you where you are speaking absolute truth. And I will quote Dr. Elia from my How to Be Happy book, who is a fellow happiness expert. And he calls it a hot conversation. And it's literally honest, open, and transparent. So making sure you have that with the people around you. So, for example, the people that do volunteer, or those that work with me or for me, or whoever, I've got all sorts of different situations happening. But I try to ensure that I know where they're at and what their needs are, and that I know if they're in pain, that if I know if they're sick, that I know if there's something they're stressed or worried about. And I think what's also important is sometimes we're on, and I call that my micro moments, where I need everything just small and sharp and let's go. But when you find yourself in a moment to breathe, even if it's only for 5 minutes, that's a great time to make sure you give people the recognition that they deserve for what they are doing in your life. Because I think what can happen, oh, everyone's talking about, hold on. It says, I have met Juan twice and we text back and forth, but it says, I said it.
I was just answering a question while I'm listening to you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, but it was saying it was coming from me and coming from you. So I thought that was interesting. The answer.
Oh, I don't know. There's something about the settings, because sometimes your screen is my picture, which is kind of funny. Somebody just asked, have I ever met Juan? So I just answered real quick. But anyway.
Okay. Well, that's the same answer for me. Well, me and Juan.
No, I think you've met him more than me. You've spent a lot more time with him than I have.
I've met him in person once, but we've spent a lot of time online.
Yeah, I think you spent a lot more quality time.
Yeah.
He's great. No, I've interviewed him before with David Rodriguez, but yeah, no, he's great. But keep going. I love what you're saying. And even if I just say,
what was I saying? That threw me off for a second. I was like, I was just confused. No,
I got the chat kind of going, and I just want to.
No. What was I saying? I think it was about recognizing. It's about basically knowing when the energies are intense and when to cut the fat. Where there's no time to be like, there's no time. It's micro time. Like it's micro time. Like I said, like my organizer didn't realize I literally have a show and this whole room's in it, and she won't be able to be coming in and out and bringing wagons while I'm in here. Like it's not happening. Like, having to be like sharp, like a knife, and just cut the fat and say, no, this. Then at the same time, when you have a moment and you can breathe, it's like being able to reflect upon how wonderful that particular person's work was, or somebody else's work was, and what a great job they're doing. And I think this is so important, is for us to be able to, this is where we keep the balance, because if you are always bossy and abrupt and in the micro and in the short and curt, if you don't also show the significant care to the people that you're speaking that way to, then you're going to have a problem down the line. Whereas I know my people know that I'm not being cruel. I'm being cruel to be kind, because I'm trying to get something done, and I have no way to do it.
Exactly.
And then at the same time, understanding that one of the things that I've noticed is sometimes when people want to do something too much, or they want to please too much, or they're trying to, that's often when people make mistakes. So again, we have to measure it. We have to be like, this is what I'm trying to get done. And at the end of the day, it will get done or it won't get done. This is what I'm trying to get done. And I don't mean I'll try in a victim sense. I mean, I am pushing this thing along while also spinning all my other plates. And when it gets to its destination, it does. And sometimes things are not done on time. I promised everyone my How to Be Happy book would be done in a month and would be out at the end of July, beginning of August. We're now coming up to the end of October, and I'm 3/4 of the way through.
Right.
I just didn't realize. I've never written a book before. I've added extra guests. I've got other things. When it happens, it happens. It's going to be extraordinary, guys. But this just goes to show that I'm not beating myself up over it, though. And I keep in communication with everybody who is pre-ordered. And then if people get annoyed with me, then that's their issue, because I'm giving them a free book. Yeah, it's a free book. So
yeah. I know. I mean, everybody who does the best they can, and I think it shows those that do the best they can should never be given a hard time. For sure. The timing of things sometimes is beyond the timing that we would like. And that's where we have to just, go into surrender zone, the whole dichotomy, just like all the other ones also, of like when you are in control of things and when you have to let go and kind of surrender and let things be as they are, knowing when to take action, knowing when to step back and just say, oh, okay. I mean, even sometimes when I make mistakes, it's like, wow, that was a really good mistake. I'm glad I made that mistake because something really incredible happened. Maybe like I messed up and booked something the wrong way, and it put me somewhere that I didn't expect to be. But then I run into somebody that I haven't seen, in years. And it was like a miracle, like, whoa, okay, something incredible happened. So when things go wrong, people start to get stressed, and I'm like, why get all bent out of shape when things because that means something else is stepping in. So open up your eyes and look around and see what synchronicities might show up. Because if we always think that we need to be in control, then we miss out on some of the magic that can appear through, synchronicities and the divine flow and magic of the universe based on intentions we hold within ourselves, and also seeds that we might have planted long ago or that exist in our creative imagination that are looking to find us and say, hey, remember me? You needed to make that mistake for me to be able to appear to you. Because you didn't expect to like take that wrong turn. And like, yeah, sometimes when you take that wrong turn, then it's like, oh, maybe something negative shows up. But negativity and things that are dangerous and things that might create trauma, that's a tough one. But at the same time, when we move through it, when we can survive it, and we are survivors that end up thriving, we end up being a great inspiration and teacher to others that are going through the same. And those are some of the initiations of this human realm that are unfortunate at times because they're not just, they're not fair, they're not something we can maybe explain. Why would God allow this? But with the free will and sort of the randomness of what comes with that, with the way people choose to run their energy, we are surrounded by a lot of danger. But, everything that we're talking about, mindfulness and consciousness and being on top of maintaining a certain sense of groundedness and awareness and spiritual hygiene and mental clarity and emotional embracing, the emotional territory to where we don't deny what's coming up for us and how we're feeling, and we learn how to express it. Then we're very sharp and aware in this kind of authentic frequency that we can sense danger. We can pick up on a vibe, and we can know, like, maybe that's not the person I want to be talking to right now to get directions. Maybe that's not an area that I want to venture into because the vibe doesn't feel right. If we're all like in survival or crazy or just like overstressed or working too hard, our ability to pick up on important things might be diminished, and we might get injured or harmed. So we have to be very careful. And if we don't breathe and if we're not grounded, it can set us up for a vulnerable sort of thing where we might get hurt, but we always get back up. And that's the thing. We never stop learning and growing and gaining strength.
Absolutely. And the thing is that the way that demons attack is that they do attack those that are going through weakness, which is why when you're tired, sick, or hungry, take care of what you need to take care of. Don't martyr through, because then you're likely to trip over, and then you bash your nose, and then this happens, and then the glass breaks, and then all the things. This is when it's time to just stop, because I was told that it's important to talk about the polar opposite of making sure that those around you are seen and recognized for their input, and that you communicate truth to them. The opposite of that is actually when people are caring too much about those outside of them, that are making their needs more important than their needs, that they are putting everybody else first. And they've almost reached a point where they're like, I put everyone else first. I'm like, really? How's that working out for you? Is that a great idea? What happens when you burn out?
Yeah, that doesn't work out very well. I know how that goes. Oh, yeah.
So if you're busy, if you're one of those people who's busy taking care of everybody, just know that when you burn out, because it's an if, not a when, but most likely a when, actually, because if you keep going, is eventually at some point you're not going to be able to keep going at that rate. But the point is that it's very important, those that are in their strength and in their abruptness and just getting things done and very like rah masculine, get it done, that you're able to stop for a minute and nurture those around you. But if you are so busy nurturing, you might find that your life is not actually moving up, that you're not moving up, that you're not getting higher, that you're not getting closer to mission, that you're not getting closer to purpose, because you are giving all of the God-given energy you have out of you to others. I even have a good girlfriend, and I'm not going to go into any detail, but that's having a breakup at the moment. And she was talking about sending someone love. And I was like, oh, honey, send yourself that love right now. Send yourself that love. Let's not get into this new age stuff of everyone being like, oh, let's send love to you. No, if somebody is hurting you at this point, literally back up, focus on loving you. And this is where it's important. Everyone needs to understand it is about balance, but it's about everybody assessing where they are out of balance in their life, which is why I said, everybody draw a circle, divide it into sections, write the different areas of your life, and analyze each one to see where you are overextending and where you are neglecting yourself, so that you can rebalance what you need to do. And if there's anyone around you that's stopping you from doing what you need to do, then you need to speak some very raw truth to that person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The excesses and deficiencies, it's always something to be balanced. Some people are me people. Some people are, it's all about everybody else and not the self. It really depends on the individual. And we're not always the same throughout our lives. Maybe some periods of our lives we've needed to be more me. And maybe that was really important to develop a sense of self and inner strength and self-knowing. But does it become greedy or selfish? That's when you've gone over the mark. Those that are very, very giving, that's wonderful. That's a great attribute, to be in service to others. But where is that service? Maybe crossing the line where you're depleted, you're drained, you're not taking care of yourself, and you don't feel a sense of feeling okay because you're not happy unless everybody else around you is happy. And that's what I've struggled with, is if people around me aren't happy, then I'm like not okay, because it's like, oh, come on. I remember I probably said this before, and if I did, I'm sorry. But yeah, like as a kid, like I would put my stuffed animals on the bed, and if I was missing a stuffed animal, I'd feel bad. I'm like, oh no, you're not left out. And I would put it on the bed, to the point where my bed would have so many of whatever stuffed animals that I would sleep on the floor so that they would all be comfortable. And my mom would come in and I'd be sleeping on the floor with my blanket. And she's like, why are you on the floor? I'm like, I just wanted to make sure that all the, stuffed animals felt like included and that they were comfortable. And she was like, what? He's like, you're crazy. Then I'm like, okay, I'm working on it. But then enough people piss you off and hurt you in life, and then you get a little hardened and like a little bit more like, I feel like I'm like, you know what? Deal with it yourself. Like I've learned how to deal with it. But
I love that story. I think that might be the cutest thing I've ever heard. I think that is absolutely lovely. The fact that that was how you thought. I mean, I have something like with my dog, like I have a king size bed, but like my dog will lay in the middle. So I'm like over to one side because I don't want to disturb my dog, even though all he does all day is sleep.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. With like real live animals. Oh my gosh. Right.
Yeah, no, I think it's lovely. I think today, as usual, it's just flown by. We really got to talk mainly about the multitasking and how to gain balance, but I think that's what people needed to hear. We'll share we'll do the inversion and what things have been inverted maybe for next time, because we've literally just run all the way through our time and we're even in out of time now. So but I just love that. I think if anyone ever questions Laura's heart, I think just that little story about her sleeping on the floor so her teddy bears were okay just tells you everything you need to know about Laura. And that's why I will never hear of anyone saying anything negative about Laura, because she is the sweetest person, one of the absolutely sweetest people I've ever met.
Oh, I feel that way about you. You're just pure love. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you. I have a bit of a tough side when I need to.
Oh, me too. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But this is what we're talking about, is that actually this is how it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be a backbone of titanium covered in candy floss, so it's like you can be sweet and everything, but don't forget that there's a titanium backbone in there.
Yeah, I tell people, I'm like, you don't really want to mess with me. It's like there's a point in which if you push me too hard, that this whole other side comes out that isn't so nice.
Well, and the thing is the strange thing about that side that's not nice is that sometimes its intentions are actually even more pure. I actually waded into Talk Time yesterday, which is one of the PPN platforms, and there was all kinds of stuff going on. And I was pre-warned. I was warned that it was like, it's going off in there. It's crazy. And I was like, it's okay. I was born for this. So I literally just goes in. I'm right, everyone, this is what is happening. We are all on this page. This is what's happening. And if you don't like it, it's okay, because I'm not here to be liked. Okay, cool. And that was that. And it was just like, that was necessary in that time. So I do feel like what we were meant to do today is to help inspire people to self-reflect upon their life, their choices, their decisions, where they need to pour into themselves, where they need to push other people back, where they need to give extra love and recognition to those that are helping in their life and that are being there for them. and understanding, yes, we're all empaths. We're all empaths here, because only empaths would really be drawn to us because we're such empaths. But at the same time, we don't use it as an excuse for anything. We use it as a gift. And then we also know how to protect ourselves, and not to be used like, I'm an empath, so blah, blah, blah. No.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I find myself being like, okay, I understand that because I'm an empath, this is the result of it. What do I need to do to enjoy this, and not allow it to be a detriment, so that I'm not a victim to my own empathy towards it. And I learned that, it's something that I revisit at times. The whole, you have to feel it to heal it, is something within ourselves. We have to feel into the wounds in order to be able to heal it. And on a global level, we need to know what the heck's going on, so we know what we're up against and we know what to do. And when we're with loved ones or we're working with someone, we need to kind of feel into it a little bit. But that's a lot of like clair sentience, where you psychically feel something, where, like if somebody gets cut, I literally feel pain in my body. It's like, okay, that's a little bit out of control. Like, I would not be the best doctor. I'm better healer, like with herbs and stuff. But when it comes to like, that kind of thing, I'm like, wow, I can literally feel the pain in my body. So, yeah, it's just knowing, okay, like, where does it work and where doesn't it work? So that one can utilize their gifts and abilities in a way that works for them instead of against them.
Yes.
Yeah. I know we got to close, but we could go on and on and on, and we will next week.
Yes, we will. And yes, and I think this is important because, again, a lot of the people that are drawn to us, they are built similarly to myself and Laura. And so the fact that there's some areas that me and Laura have gained almost mastery or mastery of, that's where we can talk about it. And then the areas where we're actually working on, we can talk about, to show you everyone we're just human like everybody else. I have a junk drawer that needs to be gone through. I have a storage unit that's in the process. But yeah, so the thing is, with being an empath, don't allow that title to mean that you put up with anything, or that you become the victim of anything, or that it stops you from doing anything. I know I don't do great in mixed crowds. And now I don't mean mixed as in men and women. I mean mixed as in people that are where there's a battle going on above, a spiritual battle going on above, like shopping malls, things like that. I know to limit my time. I know I can, that's not something I can be doing often, things like that. So knowing what you can and can't do, but I just don't want anyone to be a victim of this ability to be able to sense other people's things. And because actually it's what allows us to be great leaders, and everyone watching is a future leader. And so you need this skill to be a great leader, because it helps you to rally your troops and understand what needs to take place and who you're dealing with. And that's why when talking with someone like Juan as well, how to actually be able to listen and take on the information. So you know how to move in all different circles when you have these skills. And so we all need to work on mastering them even more. Well, thank you, my darling.
Thank you, my darling Amelia, and everybody for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Love you.
Bye-bye. Love you.